I never thought I'd be the guy posting one of these stories. You see them on YouTube all the time, true Darkweb horror stories, and you think, that's fake. That's just creepypasta for clicks. I used to think that too, up until 3 nights ago. My name is Leo. I'm 17. I live in a boring suburb in Connecticut, where the most exciting thing that happens is a neighbor's dog getting loose. I have a mom, a dad, and a younger sister named Maya. We were the definition of normal. It started on a Tuesday. My friend Tyler was whispering to me during chem lab about Tor browsers and onion links. He was acting like he'd discovered a secret portal to another dimension. It's not just hitmen and drugs, Leo, he whispered, looking over his shoulder. It's the archives. Stuff the government scrubs from the surface web. Unsolved cases, real documents. I laughed it off. I told him he was spending too much time on Reddit. But that night, the curiosity started to itch. It's that stupid teenage, I'm invincible mindset. You think you're just looking at pixels on a screen. You don't realize that sometimes, when you look into a screen, something is looking back. It was around 11:30 p.m. My parents had gone to bed an hour earlier. I could hear the faint, rhythmic drone of my dad snoring through the wall, a sound that usually annoyed me, but in hindsight, it was the last safe sound I'd ever hear. I was propped up in bed, the glow of my laptop the only light in the room. I downloaded the browser Tyler mentioned. I had my VPN on. I felt like a hacker in a movie. It was almost fun. The dark web is disappointing at first. It's slow. It looks like the internet from 1998. Just lists of links and broken HTML. I clicked through a few dead forums until I found a directory labeled the Obsidian Press. It looked like a news site, but without the corporate polish. I scrolled past the weird political manifestos and the leaked data dumps. Then I saw a tab labeled Domestic Cold Cases Unredacted. I clicked it. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted a scare. I started scrolling through missing person posters from the early 2010. Faces of kids who never came home. It was depressing, and I was about to close the tab when a thumbnail caught my eye. It was a missing poster from June 2010. A 3-year-old boy named Ethan Miller. I froze. Not because I recognized the name, but because the birthmark on the boy's left temple was identical to mine. A small, jagged shape, almost like a lightning bolt. It's a coincidence, I told myself. My heart started to thud against my ribs. Birthmarks can look similar. Plenty of kids have dark hair and blue eyes. I clicked the article. It wasn't a news report. It was a scanned police file. It said Ethan Miller was abducted from a backyard in Ohio. No witnesses, no ransom, just gone. Then I saw the age progression photo. It was a digital rendering of what Ethan would look like at 17. I closed my laptop. Hard. I sat in the dark, breathing heavy. My room felt smaller. The shadows in the corner seemed deeper. It's just a resemblance, I whispered. I reached over and turned on my bedside lamp. The warm yellow light should have made me feel better. It didn't. I remembered something. My mom keeps a baby box in the top of her closet. Photos, my first shoes, my birth certificate. I'd seen it a dozen times. I needed to see my birth certificate. Right now. I crept out of my room. The floorboards, which usually stayed silent, seemed to groan under my feet. I made it to my parents' room. The door was cracked open. I could hear them breathing, heavy, synchronized. I slipped inside. The air smelled like my mom's lavender lotion. I reached for the top shelf of the closet, my fingers trembling. I grabbed the metal tin and retreated to the hallway. I opened it under the hall light. I found the envelope. Leo Harrison, born August 12th, 2009, St. Jude's Hospital. I looked closer. The seal at the bottom looked off. The ink was slightly blurred, like it had been printed on a high-end inkjet, not embossed by a state office. I rubbed my thumb over it. It was flat. No texture. Suddenly, a small hand touched my waist. I nearly screamed, spinning around. It was Maya, my 8-year-old sister. She was standing there in her unicorn pajamas, rubbing her eyes. "Leo," she whispered, "why are you looking at the box?" "Go back to bed, Maya," I hissed, my pulse racing. "Mom says we aren't allowed to touch that," she said, her voice small and weirdly flat. "She says it's for the before time." My blood went cold. The before time? What does that mean? Maya just stared at me. Before we were a family. She told me we had to be very quiet, or the bad people would find us again. I heard a bed creak. Not Maya's, not mine. From the master bedroom, the snoring stopped. Abruptly, like a switch had been flipped. I stood paralyzed in the hallway. I heard a voice. It wasn't the warm, sleepy voice of my father. It was low, sharp, and completely alert. "Leo, why are you out of bed?" My dad, or the man I called Dad, was standing in the doorway. He wasn't wearing his glasses. He looked different in the shadows, leaner, harder. I just couldn't sleep, I said, trying to hide the birth certificate behind my back. "Give it to me," he said. He didn't ask. He commanded. He took a step toward me, then another. He wasn't acting like a dad caught in the middle of the night. He was moving with a weird, predatory precision. "We did it for you, Ethan," a voice said from behind him. My mom was there, too. She wasn't crying. She was smiling, but her eyes were wide, vacant. Those people, they didn't deserve you. They didn't love you like we do. We saved you. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The dark website wasn't a conspiracy. It was the truth. Everything I knew, my name, my birthday, my life, was a lie constructed by two people who had snatched a toddler from a swing set 15 years ago. My dad lunged. I didn't think. I dropped the tin, the metal clanging loudly on the hardwood, and I bolted. I didn't go for my room. I headed for the stairs. "Leo, stop!" he yelled. His voice was full of a rage I'd never heard. I tumbled down the stairs, skinning my elbows, and scrambled for the front door. I fumbled with the deadbolt. I could hear his heavy footsteps thundering down the stairs behind me. "Open the door, Leo. Don't make this harder." I got it open. I burst out into the night air. I didn't have shoes. I didn't have a phone. I just ran. I ran to the only place I knew, the neighbor's house, Mr. Henderson. I pounded on his door, screaming, until the porch light flickered on. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They found my parents in the driveway, sitting in their car, the engine running. They were just sitting there, staring at the house, waiting. They didn't resist. The investigation is still ongoing. DNA tests confirmed what I already knew. I am Ethan Miller. My parents are actually Walter and Sarah Vane. They weren't even a couple when they took me. They were two people who met on a fringe forum, obsessed with starting a new world. Maya? She isn't my sister. She was taken from a mall in Oregon 4 years ago. I'm living with my biological aunt now. My real parents. They passed away years ago. They died never knowing what happened to their son. I'm safe now. The Vanes are in a high-security facility, but I can't sleep. Every time I hear a floorboard creak or the sound of someone breathing in the dark, I freeze because I realized something while I was reading those files on the Darkweb, the website I found, the Obsidian Press. It wasn't just a news site. It was a tracker. I keep wondering, if I hadn't clicked that link, if I hadn't looked for the truth, would I still be Leo? Would I still be safe in that house? Or was I always just a prisoner who liked his jailers? Be careful what you look for. Some truths don't set you free. They just show you the bars of your cage.